Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and if you recently got a Mazda CX-90 or maybe you're just using one for a little while, you're going to want to know how to properly use your technology. So in this video, we're going to show you how to use the center gauge cluster screen, use the 12.3-inch center infotainment display, pair up a phone, use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and go through the voice commands. First things first, I should let you know that the best way to learn and get comfortable with your vehicle is to spend time playing around with it. So park in your driveway, park somewhere shaded like this, and whether you're following along with this video or just messing around touching buttons, get used to your car, get comfortable while you're static. It'll help you enjoy it more when you're on the road. And also, if you do want to see more on the CX-90, check the link below. We've got our full review, we've got a fuel economy test, sound system demo of this Bose sound system. All of that you can find right below. Taking a look around the cabin, we've got a lot of nice physical controls. Looking over here on the left, we've got controls to get to, that should be turning on or off your active safety. Okay, that's an interesting button right there, okay. Parking beepers on or off. I actually want those on. Traction control off. I-stop off for this Turbo S model. That makes it so the engine's not going to shut off when you're at a stop. You have the ability to open the rear hatch and two different driver's seat memory settings. Then looking at the steering wheel in front of us, we've got controls for volume up and down as well as mute. I like having that. Track, forward, back, and source change. Voice commands and phone answering. If you hold that down, you're going to get your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto Assistant. Hanging up the phone, information to toggle through a little bit on the screen there. And then cruise control over on the right side. Your following distance change, set and speed change, resume. The active lane keeping on or off, and then turning the entire cruise control system on or off. Interestingly, I wasn't able to find a screen size for the more upgraded versions of this Mazda CX-90. The base system seems to get a 7-inch digital gauge cluster, but if you have the screen size, let us know in the comments. There's not all too much you can do with this screen, despite it being pretty large. If we press this cruise control button, it goes to a more analog layout by turning the cruise control off. Then you can see we've got analog tachometer on the left, analog speedometer in the middle, analog fuel gauge as well as temperature gauge on the right, and then flanking on the bottom we've got outside temperature, trip/odometer, which you can cycle through here on the left, and then distance to empty down there on the bottom right. And like I said, if you press this cruise control button, then it switches to a more reduced layout with a digital speed right up there in front of us, and then active safety and cruise control information right in the center. Pressing this info button toggles through a few different informations on the right side. So right now we've got our average fuel economy and current fuel economy. And then if we swap over once, we get the iActive Sense Safety Suite, which things are enabled. So if I press this button over here on the left, it's going to toggle off some of those. And then if I press info again, we get our navigation. Right now it's just showing us a compass, but I bet you if we set a destination in the center screen, then it would give us directions there. And then we can also turn it off. Now, I should also mention we've got a head-up display. You probably won't be able to see it super well on the screen right now, but it's a very slim head-up display in the information it provides. And I like that. Right now, it's just showing us our speed in digital readout, but I bet you once we get into the center touchscreen, we'll be able to see a few more settings for the head-up display. But that's all we got for the screens in front of us right now, so let's make our way to the center. This one gets a 12.3-inch center screen that is touch compatible for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but not for the general navigation. I believe the base CX-90 gets a little bit of a smaller screen, something around 10 inches, but this is the one you're going to get and everything up from the base select model. And it's all controlled via this rotary knob in the center. Now, it takes a little while to get comfortable and familiar with using the knob-based infotainment, but once you get familiar with it and you get a hand and finger memory for getting quickly from screen to screen, it's a very nice way to navigate an infotainment system because I can be driving along and make little adjustments to the infotainment with barely taking my eyes off the road, and I never have to move either. I was just in the Hyundai Santa Fe, and that car is nice, but the touchscreen is just as far away as this one, but there's no rotary control, so I have to reach way forward off my seat, take my eyes off the road, and take my back off the seat back just in order to tap things on the screen, and I don't like having to do that. So after a week or so using this knob rotary control, I bet you're going to like it quite a bit. Let's take a look at the controls we have right here. So we've got this that rotates. You can also push it down to click and select something on the screen. You can push the whole stick in different directions in order to enter different parts of the screen. So like, for example, you see that little bit of an eye indicator right there. If I push the whole rotary knob over to the left, then it brings up my notifications. And same thing, if I push the whole rotary knob over to the right, then it brings up my Android Auto. Flanking the rotary knob, you have on the upper left a navigation button, bottom left the back button, bottom right home button, and top right music or media button. Then you've got electric parking brake, an auto hold function. Down on the right you have a star button that you can actually customize to go to a certain favorite within the infotainment. Maybe you want it to navigate right to your home when you press that, or do you want it to go to a specific radio station? You can add and customize that button. I was wondering if holding it had a different function as well, but it doesn't seem like it. Then you have a nice volume knob with good clicks right there, and you can push the volume knob right or left to change tracks, or you can push it down to pause and turn off your music. A lot of functionality baked into this center area. And I should also point out that if you hold the home button, you can quick toggle between your phone projection screen and back to the main Mazda screen. Looking a little bit more around all these physical controls, look at all these great physical controls for climate control. So many new vehicles coming out with climate control buried into the touchscreen, but not so with the Mazda. Definitely appreciate being able to turn on my heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, change climate control functionality, all with these physical controls. Kudos to Mazda. Let's start off on this home screen. You can see we've got 5 different main menus. We have information, entertainment, communication, navigation, and settings. And I showed you earlier how if you press to the left, you get a notification screen. If you press to the right, you get your phone projection. If you press up, you get nothing. And if you press down, you get nothing. So let's go into the information screen first. We see a fuel efficiency monitor. You can press that and then press down one more time to get a menu. You can either see fuel efficiency history. That'll show you how efficiently you've been driving on the current drive and then for the last 60 minutes. Then if you go and press down on menu again, you can bring up an energy flow monitor. I like having this up with the mild hybrid because it shows you if energy is going into your battery or coming back out. So you can see right now the engine's putting a little energy into the battery. That's kind of fun to see. Down under fuel efficiency settings, if you want it to reset your fuel economy efficiency data, or every time you reset trip A, if you want that reset, you can do that from there. Making our way back for the information screen, we go to SiriusXM Travel Link. If you're paying for SiriusXM, then that'll give you traffic information, weather information, even sports and parking information. Coming back and going into the vehicle status monitor, we can see when we need to get our next oil change. We go to maintenance details, and we can see our tire pressure monitoring over on the top right, and our distance again until the oil change. And we could make resets or change settings in there as well. Coming all the way back to the home screen, let's go down into entertainment. As I said, we do have a full breakdown of the Bose sound system if you want to see more detail on how these work, but you can choose a source, say for example, SiriusXM Radio. And then you can press menu. Let's go to the channel list here. Oh, why do we only have 4 channels available? That's strange. Maybe the SiriusXM isn't active on this car. But we can at least press down menu and go to the tuner controls, and then you can see you've got play, pause, and going back. Yeah, that is interesting. All right. Good amount of inputs in here as well. If we go back to the source list, you've got Pandora and a few USB ports, and then of course your phone projection. Coming back home, we get down into the navigation screen. It's a fairly middle-of-the-road navigation system that Mazda has here. If I were a vehicle manufacturer, I wouldn't be putting a ton of money into my navigation system anymore, because I know that people pretty much just use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and eventually most systems are probably going to move to an Android Automotive-based system anyway and have Google Maps built in. But you do still have baked-in navigation, and once we're going through voice commands later, I'll show you how to set a route. But if we press menu, we can either put in a route manually, where to? And then you can use the rotary knob to actually type something in. That's going to take a lot longer than just using the voice controls. Got some points of interest that you could choose from as well. You can save your home address in there, make that easy. And you can change your view mode. Right now it's on 2D, but I would like using it either as a 2D north up, kind of just as a map, or maybe 3D. And that's going to follow you along, be a little bit more intuitive. If you're not someone that wants to use phone projection, you do plan on using the built-in navigation, I highly recommend spend time and get comfortable with this system. Coming back home, let's move down into settings. See what sort of settings we have for the Mazda. In-vehicle displays, your active driving display, that's your head-up display. Here are those settings I was telling you about. You can adjust the height, brightness, make it a little easier for you all to see, tilt, and then what sort of content you see as well, such as navigation information, traffic signs. Still a lot less than you're going to be able to see on some other vehicles, but I kind of like the minimalist approach there. Then we have center display. We can turn this all the way off if we wanted to and just drive around with our screen off, make it look nice. Day and night mode on automatic, it's going to dim at night, but if you wanted to manually dim it, you could do that there. Doesn't change colors the way some systems do. It's kind of a theme. I should have had this brightness all the way up. I apologize, but you can change the brightness during the day for your screen. You can also change the contrast. It's going to make it a little easier for you all to see as well, isn't it? Let's do that. Show drive results at ignition off. Okay, it's going to show you your energy efficiency when you shut the vehicle off. Home screen clock, do you want that to be digital or analog? Ambient display, do you want it to show a clock or show nothing? And you can restore those factory settings. This is something kind of nice that Mazda does. It has a restore factory settings on the bottom of pretty much every menu in case you want to get back to kind of the way things are supposed to be. Then for the instrument cluster display, increase text size. Okay, so if we press this, looking at the display, okay, now it's slightly smaller. Huh. All right, fair enough. So we can kind of change the theme of the display by choosing this. Interesting enough. And then again, you can restore factory settings. Coming back, sound settings. This is how you're going to change your treble and bass. Unfortunately, no mid-range adjustment here in the CX-90. Also your front, rear, left, right fader and balance, and other Bose audio settings. You can also change the system button volume. I actually haven't heard any system buttons to begin with, but I guess you can change the volume of those right there. Making our way down into safety settings, there are a lot of safety settings on this car. So under driver assistance, cruising and traffic support cancellation alert. This is something I like to have off, but if you wanted to get alerted either audibly or with a steering wheel vibration when your cruise control disables, you can have that. This is a setting that they need in the Teslas because it was always frustrating when you were enabling or disabling autopilot in our Tesla Model Y and you had to hear it beep at you. Mazda radar cruise control. If you didn't want to have your adaptive cruise control on, you can turn that off. Traffic sign speed limit sync. So when it sees the traffic sign, do you want to adjust the speed of your cruise control? I recommend having that off because it's not very consistent. Speed limit signs are not very readily available, at least here in America, and the car might think the speed limit's 50 when it's really 70, and that's going to be frustrating for you. Audible cruise confirmation when turning the cruise control on or off. Do you want it to make a little beep? You can have that on or off there. Traffic sign recognition system. If you want to have that off entirely, you can turn that off. Speed limit sign alert. If you're speeding, you want it to flash gently at you, you can do that. And again, restore the factory settings. Back and under safety alerts, front cross traffic alert. So if you're about to pull out of a driveway or something and there's traffic coming, do you want it to beep and flash at you, or maybe just flash or nothing at all? And how aggressive do you want that alert to be? Do you want it early, late, or normal? Rear cross traffic alert, same settings. Lane departure warning, so as you're leaving your lane, do you want to be alerted for that? Now this is kind of interesting because it was beeping at me before last night when I was driving, even though it's set to only steering wheel vibration. So some of these settings seem to not be taking properly. I kind of find that buggy. Blind spot monitoring, same deal. Vehicle exit warning. This is kind of nice. If it senses that there's maybe a car coming up behind you or a biker or something, and you go to open your door, do you want it to alert to you? Coming back, collision avoidance, same sort of thing. Do you want it to alert you when you're about to have an accident, either early, late, or normal? Lane keep assist system. Yeah, we want that. Smart brakes support. So if you're about to crash into something when you're backing up, do you want it to apply the brakes for you? Definitely nice to have in a family vehicle. Emergency lane keeping. Okay, when it looks like you're about to have a crash and you go to swerve, do you want it to kind of help you with that? Driver monitoring. Do you want it to alert you when it notices that you've been distracted or drowsy? You can have that on or off. View monitor. Do you want the camera view to come up when you turn the vehicle on? And which view do you want to come up in that regard? Or you can just press the button down here by the shifter and it'll turn on the view monitor for you. Parking sensor. Do you want the sensors to beep at you as you're parking? And pedal misuse alert. So if you're doing some trail braking in your CX-90, you apply both the accelerator and the brake pedal at the same time, it'll let you know. Like I said, lots of safety settings, but we come down into vehicle settings and we see paddle shift logic. And this is something I'm glad Mazda's giving us, either momentary shift control or permanent shift control. And what that means, if you use the paddle shifters up here on the steering wheel and you maybe shift down a few gears and you drive spiritedly, if you don't make any shifts for about 10-15 seconds or so, it'll return to normal drive mode. But if you use permanent shift control, then it will stay in manual mode until you either put the car back in a different gear from the shifter or hold the right shift paddle to return it back to drive mode. Nice that Mazda gives us that control there. Under doors, you have the ability to turn on or off the hands-free liftgate, which means you can walk up with the key in your pocket and wave a foot underneath and the liftgate will lift up or close for you. Automatic door locks. Do you want the doors to lock when you start driving and then unlock when you put the car in park, or have that work differently? Automatic relock wait time. So if you unlock the car with the key but then don't actually open the door, when do you want the vehicle to relock itself? Keyless auto lock. So when you walk away with the key in your pocket, do you want the doors to lock for you? Keyless beep confirmation. How loud do you want it to beep when you lock the car with the remote control, or do you not want it to beep at all? Keyless unlock mode. When you use the unlock button on the key, do you want it to unlock all doors at once or just the driver's door first? Making our way down into exterior lighting. We've got automatic headlight sensitivity. How soon do you want the headlights to come on automatically when it starts to get dark outside? Automatic headlight timeout. When you leave the car, how long do you want the headlights to stay on? High beam control system. Automatic high beams, which you can also turn on or off with the end of the turn signal stalk. Adaptive front lighting system. So this makes it so as you take a corner and you're driving, the headlights turn with you. Nice to have that. Turning your daytime running lamps on or off. Do that there. Coming home light. I thought that's what this was. What's the automatic headlight timeout? Oh, so I guess the one up here is if it gets bright outside, how long do you want the car to wait before turning off the headlights? Coming home light is how long do you want them to stay on after you get out of the car and leave. And then leaving home light, turn headlights on with the unlock button. Press on the key. Probably want to have that on. Under interior lighting, you have the ability to change the brightness of the ambient lighting inside, but no color change. So it's just white in here. Illuminated entry duration. So once you get in and get inside the car, how long do you want the lights to stay on? Rain sensing wipers, you can turn those on or off. Automatic side folding mirrors. Under turn signals, you can have the 3 flash turn signals. So when you click it, it flashes 3 times for a merge. You want to have that on or off. And turn signal indicator volume. That's kind of nice. So this is low. And this is high. Nice to have that. If you've got maybe older people who are harder hearing driving around, you might want to have that set on high for them. But maybe you got kids in the car, keep it on low. Do you want the rear window defogger to turn off automatically after a certain amount of time, or leave it on? Under occupant comfort, you can have the driver's seat temperature or passenger seat temperature and heated steering wheel linked up to the automatic climate control. So say, for example, you get in, it's freezing cold in here, and you set the car to 73 degrees, it'll automatically apply seat heat and steering wheel heat in order to heat you up quicker. You have that on or off. Rear seat alert. Do you want there to be a notification if you've perhaps left a child or animal or something in the back? Under driving position, you can have the seat move back for you as you turn the vehicle off and then move back forward as you get back into it. Same thing with the steering wheel. Fuel lock door delay. So after you lock the vehicle, how long do you want it to wait until the fuel door locks? Continuing on, we get to connectivity settings. This is going to be where you pair up a phone via Bluetooth. We'll show you that here in a moment, but it's also where you can turn on or off the vehicle's Wi-Fi hotspot. If you pay for it monthly, this vehicle can provide a Wi-Fi hotspot for kids' tablets or maybe a work laptop or something that you want connected on the vehicle. Pretty much just have that off if you're not planning on using it. And then wireless charging. You can turn on or off the wireless charger up here, which is good because there's not a ton of places to put phones or keys or anything. So if you want to use that area for something and not have your phone get all hot, then you can turn that off. This is also kind of funny. Apparently the Qi chargers interfere with AM signals sometimes. So if you want to listen to AM radio and you're having trouble hearing things, you might want to prioritize the AM reception. Driver personalization system. So if you own this vehicle, you're going to want to use this and add a new driver, and then it'll customize certain elements of the vehicle to curate them toward you. And you can do that for different drivers within the household as well. Lastly, under System Settings, we can adjust settings for the clock if you want it to be synced via GPS or set manually. You can also use a 24-hour clock there if you prefer that. Voice recognition settings, you can adjust.
Voice guidance will be at this volume.
All the different volumes for voice guidance. Also, if you want more brief commands or normal commands, you can adjust that there. And barge in, which allows you to just start talking back at it without having to let the vehicle finish its command. Under languages, we have French, Spanish, and English. Temperature, we can choose between Fahrenheit and Celsius. No Kelvin, unfortunately. Distance and speed, miles and kilometers. Tire pressures, PSI, kPa, bar, and kilogram. I actually don't know what kgf over centimeter squared is. I apologize. If you want to have your car off the grid, you can turn off connected services, and you can also check for software updates. And if you go to sell your vehicle, or maybe you just want to start fresh, you can restore all factory settings at the bottom there. Okay, let's move into some voice commands. You can enable the voice commands using the left button on the steering wheel. Oh, and interestingly, just pressing the left button on the steering wheel actually brings up your phone projection. That's not what I was expecting. Maybe you have to hold it to use the Mazda's voice command. Let's see. No. That's so interesting. So I'm actually going to have to disconnect my phone to do the voice commands. All right, well then let's do Apple CarPlay and Android Auto first. First, taking a look at Android Auto. Now you can connect either via cable or wirelessly here in the CX-90. You see I have my Pixel 8 Pro just connected wirelessly. Go over to Android Auto and it's coming up a nice full screen setting. And this is a situation in which you can touch the screen. You can reach up and get fingerprints all over there if you'd like. And I admit, it's a little bit easier to get around Apple CarPlay and Android Auto by touch, but you can still get through everything with the rotary knob as well. So you see on this home screen layout, I have my 2/3, 1/3 split screen setup with the map on the left and music on the right. I can rotate through and do different commands. Let's go up to YouTube Music, and then you see it splits. Let's hit the super mix, see what we're getting today. Does take longer to use the rotary knob to do things, I will admit. But the more you do them, the faster you get. No big surprise, we're getting Epica out of the Android phone today. Hit the home button, that brings you back to your home app screen. You can hit it one more time. No, okay, it's always bringing you back to your app screen. Interesting. Let's bring up Google Maps. That's full screen Google Maps, looking nice. You can either pinch to zoom, or you can use the rotary knob to move around. And to get back home, you can either bring up the app screen and go up to Mazda, or like I said earlier, you could press and hold the home button, bring yourself home that way. Now let's pair up an iPhone. We grab our handy dandy Apple device over here. I'm going to bring it up to the settings screen and go to Bluetooth. And then in the car, I'm going to go to settings, connectivity settings, Bluetooth/phone connectivity settings, down to pair a new device. Android Auto will be disconnected. Continue. And then, in just a moment, I will see Charlie's iPhone. Press that. Now I get a Bluetooth pairing screen. I see a passcode. I'm going to pair on the phone and allow on the phone. Use CarPlay on the phone. Always enable on the car. And there we have it. Apple CarPlay coming up, taking up the full screen. Decent enough resolution. Nice bold colors and display. And again, I can touch it, or I can move around with the rotary knob, bring up different apps. Let's open up Google Maps. Yeah, looking good. Bring it down this way, zoom in or out. You can kind of move around with the rotary knob some. Let's come back home, bring up YouTube Music, see what we got in the super mix. Epica on both phones. Again, not too surprising. That's what I've been listening to mostly. So we've got our maps on the left and media on the right. Now let's disconnect both of our devices and then see if we can use the built-in voice commands.
Say a command.
Set the driver temperature to 62 degrees.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
That's interesting. Okay, no temperature controls. Let's try. Navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
There were multiple results found. Say the desired line number.
1.
Turn right.
Okay, so now we see our navigation going. If I bring it up in the touch screen, are we getting... No, still not getting navigation in the screen. Oh, but we do have it up on the head-up display. We got our next turn coming up, so that's good at least. And then we should be able to cancel nav. Oops.
Say a command.
Cancel navigation.
Do you want to cancel the route?
Yes. So not the most robust voice command system on the market right now, and it is a bit disappointing that it can't do vehicle functions like climate control, but you can tune to different radio stations and use the built-in nav, and like I said, most people are just going to be using Google Assistant or Siri anyway. So there it is, the infotainment suite here and the new Mazda CX-90. If there are any questions I can answer for you, let me know in the comments. I'll try to get back to you. Overall, I like the system. Like I said, I do really like the integrated track or rotary knob situation here. I like the volume situation. I like all these physical controls. It's not the most powerful system, and it's going to take a learning curve, but I think for day-to-day driving, it works nicely. So if you do want to see more on the CX-90, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.